At my graduation celebration, my mother declared, "Your degree is a family asset, so hand over your first paycheck." I chuckled and responded, "Actually, I have a surprise for you." The security guards walked in, and her face turned ashen. For most people, graduation is a joyful occasion, a moment to celebrate years of hard work and accomplishments, with family and friends gathered to applaud your success. For me, it was a battleground. I knew my mother well, understood her tactics, and knew that as soon as I had something of value, she'd find a way to claim it. But I was prepared. Let me rewind. The picture-perfect daughter, the perfect scam. Growing up, my mother was obsessed with appearances. To everyone else, she was the devoted, hard-working parent who only wanted the best for her kids. But inside our home, things were different. Everything was a transaction. If she spent money on me, it wasn't out of love. It was an investment that she expected to cash in on later. If I excelled in school, it wasn't for my benefit. It was so she could show off to the neighbors about how she'd raised a genius. She controlled every aspect of my life, my schedule, my friendships, my decisions. And when I got into my dream school on a full scholarship, she made it clear. The degree was for the family, not for me. The family. What did that mean? It meant that once I had a job, my salary would go directly to her. She'd decide how it was spent. She didn't mince words either. Your first paycheck is mine. Your bank account is mine. Your future, also mine. At 17, I felt trapped. But I was clever, and I played the game. Here's how I did it. I pretended to go along with everything she said. When she ranted about how she finally lived the life she deserved thanks to my hard work, I nodded and smiled. When she said she quit her job the moment I got hired, I acted thrilled for her. I let her think she'd won. Meanwhile, I was setting my plan in motion. First, I never showed her my scholarship paperwork. She believed she had control over my tuition, but she didn't. The scholarship covered everything, and I made sure the funds were dispersed directly to me, not her. Second, I got a part-time job on campus. It didn't pay much, but it was something she didn't know about. Third, I opened a bank account in another state, using a different mailing address. Every dollar I earned went into that account. Lastly, I kept a record of everything, every text, every email, every voicemail where she demanded my money, every threat she made when I suggested I might keep even a small portion for myself. Then came graduation day, the grand final. She threw a massive party, but not for me, for herself. Over 100 guests were there, including distant relatives, church members, and old coworkers she hadn't spoken to in years. It was all about the spectacle. At one point, she raised her champagne glass and made her announcement. "My child has achieved something amazing today, and as we all know, this degree belongs to the family. So let's celebrate the fact that her first paycheck will go exactly where it should." She extended her hand to me with a grin. I laughed out loud. "Actually, I have a surprise for you." And just then, the security guards entered. Her face went white. Now, you may be wondering, why were security guards at my graduation party? Simple. This wasn't just a celebration, it was an eviction. While she'd been planning her big party, I'd been planning my escape. A month before graduation, I consulted a lawyer. I explained everything. How she controlled my finances, how she tried to take my money, how emotionally abusive she had been, and most importantly, how the house we lived in wasn't hers. My father had left it to me when he passed. She had no legal claim to it. Thanks to my lawyer, I had everything in place to serve her an official eviction notice. She tried to argue, scream, and demand that I respect my mother, but the documents were airtight. The house, the utilities, the property taxes, they were all in my name, and she had 30 days to leave. The party guests were silent. Some awkwardly left, while others stood frozen in shock. I turned to the security guards and said, "If she causes any trouble, you know what to do." She opened her mouth, probably to unleash a torrent of curses, but one of the guards stepped forward. "This is a legal eviction. If you refuse to leave, authorities will be contacted." That shut her up. I walked out of my own graduation party, diploma in hand and my freedom with me. She didn't go quietly. She tried everything, crying, begging, guilt-tripping. She even showed up at my new apartment once, but I had security there too. Eventually, she ran out of options. As far as I know, she bounced around, staying with distant relatives before finally settling in with a cousin. She still tries to contact me, but I don't respond. I have my own life now, my own money, my own choices. And I'll never let anyone take that from me again. After the eviction, I thought it was over. I thought she'd disappear, move on, maybe even find a job. But I was wrong. My mother wasn't just controlling, she was relentless. The first signs of attack came in the form of blocked calls, fake social media profiles, and random strangers messaging me, telling me how cruel I was to my mother. You took everything from her. She sacrificed so much for you. How could you do this to the woman who gave you life? At first, I ignored them. I changed my number, locked down my social media, and moved on. Then the bank called. Someone tried to access my account. They failed, but the attempt came from my hometown. And there was only one person desperate enough to try, my mother. I didn't know how she got my banking details, but I had a hunch. Growing up, she forced me to hand over every document, every password. Even when I changed them, she must have remembered bits and pieces, so I bolstered my security, changed banks, set up fraud alerts, and for a while, it was quiet until the police showed up at my door. The false accusations. 2 officers stood there, their faces serious. Are you my name? I nodded, confused. We received a report that you committed financial fraud against your mother. She claims you stole her home and evicted her illegally. I almost laughed. Instead, I handed them everything. Copies of my father's will, the title deed, the eviction notice signed by the courts, and proof that I had acted within the law. The officers went over the paperwork, nodded, and sighed. This isn't the first time we've dealt with cases like this, one muttered. She's wasting our time. They left, but I knew my mother. She wouldn't stop. Then the next attack came, out of nowhere. I was at my new job in a different city, feeling free for the first time in my life, when HR called me in. There's been a concern, my manager said carefully. I frowned. What kind of concern? He sighed. A woman claiming to be your mother called. She said she's worried about you, that you've been acting unstable and might be a danger to yourself and others. She said you have a history of mental health issues, that you stole from your family, and that we should be careful with you in the workplace. My blood ran cold. She said I had mental health issues, that I stole from my family. This wasn't just revenge. This was a setup. I clenched my fists. Do you believe her? My manager shook his head. No, but I had to check, legally. I exhaled. That could have ruined everything. I left work that day with my heart racing. She was escalating, and I had to stop her before she destroyed my life completely. The unexpected twists. I did something I never imagined I'd do. I called my uncle, my mother's older brother, the only person in the family who'd ever stood up to her. He was quiet for a moment and sighed. She's desperate, he said, and desperate people do foolish things. I know, I muttered. I just need her to stop. Then he told me something that sent a chill down my spine. She's staying with some guy. What? She moved in with a new boyfriend. Met him online, some guy in his 50s, not from around here. And from what I hear, he's bad news. Bad how? She's been telling him all about you, your job, your apartment, your life. And I think he's the one pushing her to go after you. My hands went cold. This wasn't just my mother being obsessive anymore. She had a partner, and that meant I was now dealing with 2 people. The confrontation. I could have walked away. I could have kept evading her, kept changing my story, kept running. But I'd had enough. I returned to my hometown, not to talk things through, but to finish it once and for all. I stood outside the house she was staying in, an old dilapidated building in a rough neighborhood. And sure enough, an hour later she came out, smug, like she thought she'd already won. I stepped into her path. Her expression froze. You need to stop, I said, my voice calm, though my hands were trembling. Whatever game you think you're playing, it's done. She laughed, actually laughed. Oh, sweetie, you can't get rid of me that easily. Then the door opened behind her, and I saw him. Her boyfriend. Tall, scruffy, eyes that lingered a little too long on me. And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about control. And I wasn't going to let them take it. I should have walked away. I should have turned around and left. But I didn't. Because when I looked at him, standing there behind her, something felt off. Not just in the this guy creeps me out way. More like she wasn't the one in charge anymore. And that scared me. The warning. He didn't speak right away, just sized me up, like I was an obstacle to be dealt with. Then he grinned. So, you're the little cash cow. My mother shot him a warning glance, but he ignored her. I clenched my fists. I'm not giving you a damn thing. He laughed. Laughed. Oh, sweetie, you don't have to. That's when I saw the envelope in his hand. He tossed it toward me. I caught it instinctively. Consider this a warning, he said. You might want to read that before making any more enemies. I opened it, and my stomach dropped. Inside were photos of me, walking to work, leaving my apartment, getting into my car, all taken from a distance. I looked up, my heart racing. You've been following me. He grinned. Relax, no harm done. Then he tilted his head. Yet, my mother was silent, too silent. For the first time, she seemed uneasy, and that's when I realized she hadn't expected him to do this. Whatever game she thought she was playing, he was playing a different one. And now she wasn't in control anymore. The new threat. I knew I couldn't give him the reaction he wanted. That's exactly what he was after. So I shoved the envelope back at him and forced myself to smile. You think this scares me, I said. His smirk faltered, just a little. Good. I turned to my mother. This is who you turn to. A washed-up thug with a bad camera. Her face flushed. Watch your mouth. I shrugged. Or what? You'll send your new boyfriend to hang outside my job and take pictures. I shot him a look. Let me guess. A fake lawsuit next, or maybe you'll try something dumber, like breaking the law. His jaw tightened. Bingo. People like him, they hated being predictable. I stepped forward slowly. Here's my warning. Keep following me. Keep sending threats. I will drown you in so much legal trouble. You'll be buried under paperwork until you can't breathe. Then I turned to my mother. And if you think he's going to take care of you, you're more naive than I thought. Her eyes flared. I don't need anyone to take care of me. I laughed bitterly. Then why are you living in a rundown hellhole with a guy who thinks intimidation is a personality trait? Silence. She hated being exposed. I didn't wait for a response. I turned, got in my car, and left. But the whole drive home, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The breaking point. I knew it wasn't over. And sure enough, 2 days later, someone broke into my apartment. They didn't steal much. Just made a mess. Ransacked my drawers. Threw my clothes on the floor. Left the fridge open. Like they were sending a message. There was no proof it was him. But I knew. And if I didn't act now, I'd never be safe again. So I made a call. To someone who hated my mother even more than I did. The enemy of my enemy. My father's sister. She had cut ties with my mother years ago. But she had connections. When I told her everything, she didn't hesitate. Send me his name, she said. I'll take care of it. I didn't ask questions. I didn't want to know. But less than a week later, my mother's boyfriend disappeared. No online footprint, no phone number, not a single trace. And my mother, she called me sobbing. What did you do? I smiled. Consider this a warning. Her boyfriend had vanished, and I didn't ask how. I didn't need to. The last time I heard his name was during that call. Her voice cracked, full of rage. She wanted answers. She wanted control. But she wasn't getting either. For the first time in my life, I had the upper hand. Or so I thought. The final game. I should have known she wouldn't let it go. Because a month later, she came back swinging. I got home late from work, exhausted, ready to crash. But the second I stepped inside my apartment, I felt it. That wrongness. Someone had been here. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was broken. But things were out of place. A chair shifted. A framed photo crooked on the wall. The scent of perfume I hadn't worn in years. She had been here. And she had left something behind. A letter. Sitting on my kitchen counter, neatly placed. I hesitated before picking it up. My instinct screamed at me. But I opened it anyway. It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. She wanted me to meet her, one last time. The showdown. I went. Not because I forgave her. Not because I needed closure. I went because I needed answers. She picked a public place, an old diner just outside of town. Half empty. Quiet. She was already sitting when I arrived, hands wrapped around a coffee cup she wasn't drinking. She looked tired. Not like someone plotting. Not like someone who had won. Like someone who had lost. I sat across from her, arms crossed. Breaking into my apartment was a nice touch. She exhaled, shaking her head. I didn't break in. I still have a key. I stiffened. She must have made a copy before she left. Typical. I'll be changing the locks, I said. She didn't argue. Instead, she pulled out an old crumpled envelope and slid it toward me. I didn't touch it. What's this? Her eyes met mine. The truth. The revelation. I hesitated, then slowly opened the envelope. Inside were legal papers. Old. Yellowed. And when I saw the name, my stomach plummeted. It wasn't mine. It was someone else's. I flipped through the papers, my heart racing. Birth certificate. Custody papers. My hand trembled. And then I understood. The woman who raised me, she sighed. I thought I had more time, she said. I thought I could fix it before you ever found out. I looked at her, my vision blurring. What is this? My voice barely registered. She swallowed hard. You're not my daughter. The aftermath. I felt like I was falling, like the world beneath me had cracked open. That's not true, I whispered. This is some kind of. I'm sorry, she interrupted. I should have told you years ago. I shook my head, gripping the table. So you just stole me? She flinched. It wasn't like that. But it was. As I read through the papers, it became clear. She had been a foster parent. Temporarily, briefly. And then she never gave me back. The legal system had been a mess back then. Documents lost. By the time someone realized the mistake, it was too late. She had fought for custody, lied in court, twisted the truth until she was the hero. And I had never known. I stared at her, the woman who controlled my life, took my money, stole my choices, and none of it had been hers to take. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember knocking the chair over. I just remember walking out. She called after me. Please just talk to me. But I didn't look back. I drove home in a daze. That night, I changed my locks. I blocked her number. And then I found them. My real family. It took months, legal work, private investigators, court records. But I found them. And when I stood at the door of the house where I should have grown up, I couldn't breathe. I knocked. The door opened. A woman stood there. My real mother. And when she saw me, she cried. Final reflection. The woman who raised me called every day for weeks. I never answered. She sent letters, emails, voicemails. I deleted them all. Because some things, they can't be forgiven. I spent years believing I was trapped, that I had to play her game, that I was responsible for her. She wasn't. And I was finally, free. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay stunned.